with us two very eminent professionals from the urban space as well as the broader space in which urban concerns are located. Our lead speaker for this evening is Ireena Vittal. We have we have the great honor of having Ireena with us. She's one of the advisors on a seminal study that was brought out by the McKinsey Global Institute, known as India's Urban Awakening, now almost a standard reference from parliamentarians down to students of urbanization. And she was one of the key advisors on that knowledge product. Besides that, Ireena has many other engagements. To her credit, we have already circulated the profiles of our two discussants, so I won't go into greater length about that. But I think it's important to note that we have in our midst today someone who might have possibly coined that wonderful image of India needing to build one Chicago every year, for the next many years. And perhaps, I don't know, but perhaps Ireena was behind.
70% of new jobs will be created in the cities. This is again important because we have, as you know, 10 to 12 million people who come into the job market every year. And urban India is where the crucible of new job creation, primarily because of the structure of the Indian economy. Rural India will hopefully become a lot more productive. Non-farm jobs will increase in huge numbers. But the almost 40-42% of Indians who are currently employed on farms will drop closer to the 7 or 8% required. And it's already happening, triggered by Narega, triggered by the mix of crops. And so it's quite obvious that if we want our young to be employed, then cities will become important areas, provided we build them well. And finally, because of this combination, that you'll have more people and a lot more of economic activity will be urban in its nature, a lot of the per capita growth in India will increase because of what happens in India's cities. So the 1,663 per capita USD that we have today will grow to 6,400, and a lot of it will be urban, while the rural will also grow from 3 to 4. Now, one other angle of Indian cities is how it could actually help India's GDP growth. I'm going to steal Jagad's point of India will add one Chicago a year. And even as India adds one Chicago a year, by the way, for the next 30 to 40 years, this would drive construction. And if you look at China's economic story, such a huge part of China's economic story came from the investment that they made in their cities, came from the build-up that it gave to their GDP. So anywhere between 0.5 to 1% of GDP growth rate in India could come from construction, construction and allied services associated with city building. And when you're growing at 6.5, or perhaps 7%, 0.5% to 1% is a welcome addition to every country's GDP, especially if it continues for the next 30 to 40 years. So this is why cities matter. And what's equally interesting is if you look at it from the point of view of states, for the first time, almost 5 states will be more than 50% urbanized. Tamil Nadu is an exception in India today. But if you look at the next 15 years, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Punjab will add to the list of states which will have more citizens in urban India than they will in rural India. Whether this will have an implication on politics and on voting is still to come. Maybe our voting districts will be redrawn. But even if that were not to happen, the voices of the cities will become more material in the parliament, as they have in the last 2 elections. And we will have 68 cities with populations of more than 1 million. Just to contrast, all of Europe has 35, and India will have 68. And this is where, by the way, almost 60-70% of the investment of India will be. So we will have large cities. I mean, 1 million plus population is huge, though in India, we take it for granted because our metros are so huge. And the top cities will be countries in the making. If you look at
dollars of investment of whatever sector we pick, that happens to be India's infrastructure requirements also for the next 5 years, in some kind of strange coincidence. Other day, McKinsey Insights came out with one more number of Croatia needing $5 trillion in the next 5 years. Croatia. So I was thinking, come on, Croatia 5 trillion, India 1 trillion, okay, let me make it 5 trillion for India also. They all started looking. When we start looking plans like this, even if you are wrong by a few lakh crores of rupees that side decide, doesn't really affect the overall conclusion. The way we look at it is that even if I have 1 trillion, fine, I can do so much. But if I don't have even 10,000 crores, now let me talk about a small city called Gulbarga. 2001, I joined EDIC. We were looking at their plan of how to improve their city. It's a very, very small place, North Karnataka, water scarcity. How do we go about doing it? The Chief Minister came out with a scheme to develop their city. For whatever reasons, they picked that particular city. So they were asked to give their wish list. They came out with a list of 40 different items, how they need to finance that. We sat up and added up everything, came to about 100 odd crores, 120 crores. So they came to the government at Bangalore, asked them, okay, I need 100 crores. The Principal Secretary Urban asked them, okay, fine, you have 100 crores, I'll give you a check tomorrow, but how are you going to repay? His question was, repay, what does it mean? How do I repay? I said, look, if I had the money to repay, even if not now, 20 years down the line, why will I come here first of all and ask you the money? I simply don't have the capital to do anything. So these are the cities, and Gulbarga, just for the sake of argument, is top 5 cities in Bangalore.